And welcome to Film Dungeon Commentary with your host, Dr. Chris, and tonight we are covering the 2005 Keanu Reeves Constantine film. My co-host, Mistrress Zeneca, and I on Dead TV Podcast are currently covering the canceled NBC TV series. So this is a kind of a promotion for our podcast, but at the same time as a film that I've wanted to cover for a while. And we've both been heavily reading some Vertigo Hellblazer comic books, so we'll have some trivia about that as well throughout the film, along with some anecdotes and a lot of what we don't like about the movie, because there is a lot we don't like about the movie. Thank you for joining me for this commentary, Mr. Zeneca.
Well, thanks for having me.
And you want to make sure that your DVD is set at 000 and the screen is blank. So when I count down from 5 and say go, hit play on your DVD player or Blu-ray player or PlayStation or Xbox or however else that you are watching this movie. I don't know if it's on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime, but it could be. But the DVD is heavily available. It's out of print, but its aftermarket copies go for very, very cheap.
It's around. You can get it.
Oh, yes. Very, very, very accessible. So, again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Hit play now. And the Warner Brothers logo should be shimmying into view on your screen if you are following with us.
And right now, wind is starting, and the hellscape is taking apart the logo. So you should be right there.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool effect, I thought, when the movie first came out. Something I also loved about the Vertigo DC Comics logo, which does appear in other Vertigo shows like Preacher and iZombie and Lucifer, are all in the Vertigo comic canon universe.
So on screen there was that quote about the Spear of Destiny.
Yes.
And we're here in Mexico.
We are okay. The first time,
the reason that this was actually filmed in Mexico, or at least said to be Mexico, was that due to budget, they could not actually afford an international location. But the original location that they were looking forward to was actually Istanbul, which would make more sense being a European, proximity place versus Mexico. So right here, they pulling out of the Nazi flag wrapped around the Spear of Destiny.
By the way, this whole setting reminds me of the Guillermo del Toro movie, The Devil's Backbone. The Devil's... Do you know what film I'm talking about?
I haven't seen that one, no.
Devil...
Because I love Guillermo del Toro, but I have not seen that one. Do a quick Google. So this film, Constantine the movie, was actually debuted in theaters February 18th, 2005.
Yes, by the way, it was The Devil's Backbone. It's about a kid in an orphanage who sees a ghost that's trying to tell him a secret. And the setting just kind of reminded me of that, just how run down everything looked. Oh! That just... Ow.
Yeah.
Now, we are currently covering the Constantine TV series, and the Spear of Destiny is actually in a show connected to Constantine, the DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which follows the adventures of the Atom, Firestorm, Heatwave, White Canary, Captain Rick Hunter, Captain Steel, and Vixen, as they try to stop the Legion of Doom, which consists of the Reverse Flash, Malcolm Merlin, and Damien Dark, and Captain Cold from using the Spear of Destiny to rewrite history. The Spear of Destiny never showed up in the Constantine TV series, but that has been the MacGuffin through the entire second season of the DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which is part of the Arrowverse, which is what Constantine was part of before it was canceled. And then, of course, obviously... in one episode last season of Arrow, John showed up.
And right here we get a little nod to the Exorcist movie with the crawling on the ceiling thing.
Yes. Did you watch the Exorcist TV series that was on Fox this year? I don't know if it's been renewed yet or not.
I don't actually have live television.
Oh, okay. It was on Fox's website, and I believe it was on Hulu as well. In my opinion, it was one of the best damn TV series that nobody was watching. It starred Gina Davis.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
yes, Gina Davis. And I don't want to give away the plot line, but the show is heavily connected to the first Exorcist movie.
Nice.
By the fifth episode, in the first episode, they come across like a newspaper article that mentions what happened in The Exorcist years ago. But by the fifth episode, you really understand how it's connected, and you're like, best reveal ever.
I might actually have to pull that show up and watch it.
Well, we might be covering it on the Dead TV podcast one day if they don't renew it. It is.
We just saw here the introduction of Father Hennessy.
Yes.
And here's Constantine going up to the possessed girl. Now, in this movie, John Constantine smokes quite a bit.
Yes, and he has black hair, and he is not British.
Not wearing a tuxedo, not British. Yeah. The similarities are really so far apart from John Constantine in Hellblazer that it's practically not even the same person. I would not consider this the same universe, and even in the comics, there is mention that of this alternate Constantine that does the same job that he does, but for the U.S.
Yeah, what I thought was really funny though is that they don't ever actually give any explanation about why he's not British, and they just say in our version John has black hair instead of being blonde. Not any real reason why they made that decision or why they cast Keanu Reeves as John. For one thing, I am so glad they didn't try to get Keanu to do a British accent, because if you saw Bram Stoker's Dracula, he cannot do a British accent.
No, he can't.
He played Jonathan Harker in that movie, and he was fucking terrible.
Dry as hell.
Yes. I mean, he is okay in certain roles. Bill and Ted, John Wick, Neo, you know.
Yeah. He has places where his style of acting, non-acting actually works. And this one is not really one of them.
No, but John Wick is one of the best action movies ever, and John Wick 2 was just as good if you haven't seen them.
Okay, so that effect that just happened there with the demon kind of rising out of the neck.
Yep.
CG effect. Now here he's breaking open the window, and he wants a huge mirror. Get a mirror.
By the way, this young lady who's possessed lying on the bed, whose name is Johanna Trias, has an excellent picture you would find quite alluring, Mistrress Zeneca, on IMDb. And she has her email. She has her email address on IMDb too. You probably shouldn't put your email address on IMDb.
Probably not.
No,
but...
but...
That's just asking for trolls.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't really have that much of a career to begin with, but I just... yeah, I mean, she's only been in a few things.
Okay. Here, it's very interesting. So they have the mirror suspended here, held up by these guys. And, kind of pull... The intent here is to like, pull the demon out.
Uh-huh.
And he tells everyone not to look.
Oh.
No, he looked. Oh, he looked. I think here, the acting direction, I think they didn't quite know what type of CG effects they were going to put in post. And that kind of waving of the hands, I actually think that they told the actor that he was going to be covered in bugs. Because that's a motion that you do with bugs.
Correct.
But these demons are. I like the look of these demons. They're kind of half-headed.
Yeah, I thought the demon effects in this movie were not terrible.
Okay, right here with the mirror trying to go through the window. Why don't you turn it? Angle the mirror to get out the goddamn window. It's big enough.
Yeah.
Poof.
By the way, the possessed girl, she was a Power Ranger.
Don't tell me she was a Yellow Ranger.
She was the yellow. She was the dark. She was the She was the Dark Yellow Ranger in a 2-part episode where the Rangers had to fight their dark selves.
You know, that always bugged me. Having the Black Ranger be black, the Asian Ranger be yellow, always bugged me.
Yeah, it bugged a lot of people up until the new movie came out, where they poked fun at that thing, especially when the Asian character who's the Black Ranger says, "I'm black," and the African American kid's like, "No, you're not. Stop that." So they completely poke fun at that whole original thing where they color coordinated the Power Rangers based on their own skin tone and ethnicity. That movie's okay, worth checking out if you're a Power Ranger fan. Unfortunately, most annoying, worthless character in the movie is the LGBT Yellow Ranger character.
Well, we're reviewing Constantine, not Power Rangers today.
Yeah. Sorry, went on a tangent there. Okay, this thing where John does the flipping of the coin, he's not Two-Face, producers. John never does that. Coins are not John's thing.
No, really isn't.
Now, this movie, by the way, was made for a budget of $100 million and grossed $230 million worldwide, so it was a box office success for Warner Brothers, but the critical response was mixed to negative.
Roger Ebert actually rated this 1.5 stars. He hated this film, and is actually one of the films on his list of, terrible films. He raved about the awfulness of this film. If you want to get a good laugh, go read Roger Ebert's rating of this movie. He had so many issues with it.
Is Roger Ebert still alive?
I don't know. He did have a portion of his face removed due to, I believe, cancer or something. Jesus I'm not sure if he's still alive or if he has passed on.
Wow. Okay, this is Shia LaBeouf, who plays his, Keanu Reeves' wingman, Chaz, and he's basically more like Robin and Bucky Barnes, not the character that we know and love.
Yeah.
His plucky comic relief sidekick.
Way too eager to kind of learn magic.
Yeah.
Chaz in the comics, just not really all that interested.
Correct. They gave John a unique way how he likes to open a his lighter to smoke a cigarette and stuff, and I'm like, this is all stuff they created for the movie to give him a thing that his character does.
Yeah, because Keanu Reeves really can't act the snide, sarcastic, witty, lovable con artist that John Constantine actually is.
Correct.
Alright, so also in this movie, it takes a lot of Catholic symbolism, and there's really no mention or appreciation for any of the other Christian factions in this movie. It's almost as if Christianity is only Catholic in the sense of this movie. So she's Catholic, the twins, here's Isabel waking up in her mental ward. They're Catholic. Everyone uses Catholic terminology here. But what about the Protestants?
By the way, the Korean guy who got his hair turned white, this was the last movie for him that he ever did, according to IMDb. So I wonder if the movie truly did scare him. Because he has no other credit after that.
Maybe just turned him off from doing any other films.
Apparently so.
Alright, so now we see the same symbol on her wrist, for whatever reason. And throwing away of the badge. And
some people just can't make it in Hollywood.
I do love the cinematography of this movie. It really is a gorgeous movie. The first time I saw this, I did not have any knowledge about John Constantine, the character. I had not read any of the comics. anything about it, and I really enjoyed the film. I had a few problems, because I am, learned in some of the occult arts. A few problems with what they portray, but overall, I actually really enjoyed this film. After I started reading the comics, though, I began to realize just how shitty this movie is in portraying the character of John Constantine.
One thing I love to point out, and again, we will constantly be doing this on the podcast for every time it happens on television, something my ex-wife pointed out to me, and something I hear on female-led podcast all the time, is that women do not wear their bras to bed or in their nightgowns when they commit suicide.
Yeah. And also at a mental ward, many times you're not allowed a bra because of the underwire.
Correct. Also,
for the same reason of suicide.
That blood was so fake being spit from your mouth. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As somebody who has sensitive gums, and whenever I floss, I cut my gums by accident. It's a little darker.
Yeah. This is movie blood. Not supposed to look real.
By the way, the one of the zombies in this, another connection to The Exorcist that you, because we brought up The Exorcist, Eileen Dietz is in this movie as one of the zombies. Eileen Dietz is the demon Pazuzu in The Exorcist.
Nice. I didn't realize she was in here.
Yeah, she was also the body double for the young girl from The Exorcist, whose name now escapes me, Linda Blair. During the very adult scenes, such as masturbating with the crucifix, because Linda Blair was only 13 years old at the time, and not appropriate to have a young girl do that. No. But Eileen Dietz was the person who was actually masturbating with the crucifix.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't a 13-year-old. Okay, so Isabel is dead, and I must say, that is a beautiful-looking corpse. That is not what a corpse would look like if it had actually fallen and through a roof and sat around in some water for a little bit.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
I mean, that is completely not. Like, the makeup should have been way darker, and
a little bit more blue.
Model that they're using for this should have been a little bit more sullen in the cheeks.
True, and also she should be a little bit more blue too, right?
No, because I think it was the impact that killed her.
Oh, okay.
Not by drowning.
So do you think that's probably just a cast of Rachel Weisz?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a model of her.
Just not a really well done one.
I mean, it's very beautiful. So I'd say in that respect, it's very well done. It's just not done as in a realistic corpse way. And Mistrress Zeneca and corpses, I love them. So, I do know what they look like. Okay, now, let's talk about this scene here for a second. The guy that's holding the Spear of Destiny is walking through, and cattle are just, dying around him. If this was really a godly instrument, why would cattle die being just around it? Even the first time I saw this movie, that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. If anything, a tool of God should be aspiring life to things, not death. There's no explanation of why it's like that, or if it's somehow, twisted in its possession. Nothing is explained, but that always bugged me about this film.
Huh. Mr. B-Man.
B-Man, yeah.
B-Man. He loves this little toy.
And here's the holy hand grenades. Oh, the holy hand grenade. Which was actually just regular, standard, clear Christmas ornaments filled with water.
I just love how he's just so, enthralled by the little gift John gave him.
Yeah, the mooing thing.
Yeah. It's the simple things in life.
Yeah.
John's apartment reminds me a lot of Frank Castle's apartment from the Thomas Jane Punisher movie. Did you ever see that?
I haven't seen that one.
Oh my god. It's actually really good. it came out around the same time as this movie. Again, this was the time. This movie came out in 2005, and this was the year after Spider-Man 2, X-Men 3, Blade 2 had come out, The Punisher, and this came out the same year as the Fantastic Four, and one other movie Blade 3 came out this year as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, they were buying up so many titles because they're like, we can make this successful. And
yes.
then they kind of got overboard with a lot of bad movies.
Yeah, well, it had a hiccup there in the middle between 2004 and 2008 when Iron Man came out, but we were now getting into the Batman films at the time. But this movie is unfortunately a bad representation of good comic books.
Yeah. There's Shia LaBeouf. So young looking.
Who, Shia?
Shia, yeah.
Yeah, did you ever see Nymphomaniac, the two film he did?
It's kind of like yeah, I did actually.
Yeah, it also has like Rachel Lee Cook and or Rachel, the woman that was dating. She was on True Blood. And she was dating Marilyn Manson. She was in that too, and yeah, Eric Skarsgård, the old man from the Thor and Avenger movies. Oh, speaking of comic book people, Tilda Swinton, of course, was in Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. Excellent role for her, I do say so.
Yeah.
Stereotyped, Chinese, Fu Manchu wearing mentor that was in the comic books.
Now, a lot of people will argue with you, saying that role should have gone to an Asian person because of it being Asian in the comic books. But
I don't think stereotypes should be maintained throughout media. Like, when that stereotype was actually written, it was not culturally sensitive towards Asian culture at all. And it was just like, we're going to stick a mentor in here, and because Asian mentors of this type of ilk were in vogue at the time, we're going to put this character in here.
Yeah, but
I
again,
did an excellent job.
I've had the argument on both sides. Again, I understand what you're saying, but I've also heard it from the other side saying that it's a whitewashing role, like Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, they had a conversation, Tilda and Margaret Cho, about this very topic. And, times have changed, and I think we can put different people in it as long as they were good. There was representation of Asian people throughout that film, just not in that particular role. That particular role was very androgynous, because Tilda does that very well. This role, where she's playing the snob, Gabriel, is supposed to be the androgyny of an angel. Excellently done. And I think Gabriel, out of this entire film, Gabriel is the best character.
Really?
The costume design, look, the acting, the writing, I think it's actually much better in this character. And that's one thing I've always loved about this film. So her androgyny playing the mentor for Doctor Strange, I think works. That level of androgyny is interesting to watch.
Yep.
I love androgyny personally. But again, you can have a different opinion on the portrayal of a character, but as media and art is passed from person to person, it will change with the times, and it should change with the times. It should have a flavor of the old, but then the sensitivity of the new, and make it their own. Because characters do evolve as the people that view them evolves.
I said the same thing, and I got beaten down very badly in my argument by a couple people that were just like throwing their arms up in the air about whitewashing, and it's just they just kept going back to the political statement of it all.
I understand, and some things I can completely agree with that. But there are reasons on both sides, and we're never actually going to be in agreement on this topic. Just like the whole topic of like cosplay, and should you cosplay a member of a different race than you?
Yeah,
Even if you're not
you shouldn't
painting your skin or doing anything else, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should be blackfacing yourself, like that woman who did it for the Orange is the New Black character. But we're getting so off topic with this movie.
I know.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out.
On that.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to point out really quick about this film is versus the television series Constantine. I think the TV series being on NBC, and by the way, lower budget than this movie. This movie had a budget of $100 million. That TV series over 14 episodes might have a budget of $100 million, but every individual episode alone does not have a $100 million budget. Now, the look of this movie is more indicative of the comic book with its gritty-looking, diluted colored field, whereas the TV series that we're watching is very glossy.
Very much so.
It's very much like trying to be like, okay, it's in the Arrowverse, it's in the Flash universe, you know what I mean?
And here we see Father Hennessy doing some psychometry.
Psychometry.
Reading by touch.
I like that, psychometry.
Yes, that's the name. I mean, like, some people call it osmosis, but that's not technically what it is when you're a psychic. That is psychometry. And her first clue, Constantine.
Now, is she a character in the comics?
No.
Okay, so the only three people that are actually from the book are John, Chaz, and Papa Midnight, who's coming up soon.
Actually, the snob is also Gabriel.
Okay, Gabriel. Yeah, yes. Well, most of those angel demon kind of characters are.
Yeah.
Now, Lucifer, the series which I mentioned last night on the Dead TV podcast that we recorded, and if you're listening to this commentary, by the way, we're recording this on Monday, the day after we actually recorded our most recent episode of the Dead TV podcast. So we happen to, say things like last night. It's because we just got done talking for about an hour about Constantine, the TV series. But I digress. The TV series Lucifer, where Lucifer is like and Lucifer is in this movie too. If this was more in tune with the comic book, can we spot how much the gas is? By the way, can we? I just want to. No, okay. If this movie was more in tune with the comic book. The character Lucifer that shows up in this movie would be the exact same Lucifer who's running around in the TV series currently on Fox. Mm-hmm. Because Lucifer, Constantine, Sandman, they're all sharing the same Vertigo universe before the New 52.
Yeah.
So Lucifer, if he showed up in one book, he was the same Lucifer that showed up in another book.
So here's Constantine's coughing fit and all these manner of lowly creatures coming out from the woodworks.
I don't know if a crab is a lowly creature.
Would come from, but there it is.
Well, I didn't know if a crab is a lowly creature or not.
Well, they are bottom feeders.
No, that's true. And this is very horrifying. You know what this thing reminds me of? Have you seen the pictures of the teeth kid? The kid all made of teeth?
Oh, I've heard it was creepy. I did not see it because I have a thing for teeth. So,
you have a thing for teeth. You have a thing for teeth like you have a thing for dead people, or you have a thing for teeth like in a thing for clowns.
Like a thing for clowns.
Okay.
Like, I do not like teeth portrayals. Teeth dreams freak me out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this thing kind of freaks me out too. Completely made of bugs.
And actually, this demon, because he does say that it's an actual demon that's on Earth there, is kind of reminiscent of, in the comic book, there is a demon that is brought over from Africa that is basically like a swarm of bugs and creates hunger in people when it possesses them. So, a little bit reminiscent of that, adds a few other elements like snakes and rats and other things in that swarm. Never really has a face in the comic book, but I thought that might be a nod to that portrayal of that demon, but more than likely it was just some executive going like, hey, that'll be cool.
This whole thing with this was like very early in Shia LaBeouf's career, just before he hit it big with Transformers 2 years later.
Hmm. I love those cards. Too bad I cannot find where those exist.
Oh, is that how he lets people in? That's
Yeah. It's like you have to have the power to be able to see through the card in order to get in.
Yeah.
To prove that you do have psychic powers, and we're going into Papa Midnight's half bar.
It looks like a porno red room.
I mean, it's a play space for half demons, half angels to do whatever they want. You know, if they want to eat a person right there in front of them, well, they're welcome to do that. In all other aspects, I would think this would be a really good club to have a cool BDSM party in.
I was gonna say, isn't this like one of your events that you host?
You know, I draw inspiration from a lot of places, and I cannot not say that I haven't drawn inspiration from this particular bar, or like the club scene in Blade 1. You know, the bloodbath scene.
Yes.
Love that scene. Or the club space from the Machiavellian in The Matrix.
Yep. Oh, yes. That even though that's so quick, you know what I mean? That's God. That scene doesn't even last like 5 minutes.
Love it.
Yeah. Speaking of The Matrix being Keanu Reeves' other big film, and he had just done the last 2 Matrix movies before starting work on this film.
Yeah. So he was a hot commodity at the time.
Yeah. Papa Midnight, we discussed him in... it's coincidence that we're doing this commentary the day after we discussed the episode The Devil's Vinyl, which was the first appearance of Papa Midnight on the TV series Constantine. And we thought it was kind of funny that he's portrayed in this movie more like his comic book counterpart than the TV series version, where he's portrayed as like a pimp.
Yeah, in the comic books, like, Papa Midnight has a white suit, white top hat with purple accessories on him.
Yep. Looking
very pimp-like, and harkening back to kind of a Baron Samedi look with the top hat. And in the TV show, he looks very, very pimp. Like, he's got this kind of gold-ish tapestry jacket. I particularly don't really like his costume in Constantine the show.
Yep.
I prefer it here in the movie. You know, the kind of do-rag with the hat on top of it, and the kind of scarf around his neck and the suit. I think that looks so much better than having either a tapestry jacket or just a white suit with a white top hat. For the character Papa Midnight and his hoodoo practices, I think this makes more sense.
This actor who's played Papa Midnight has been in so many things. His career is long and arduous, going all the way back to... he was a very cool character on one of my favorite TV series called ER. He played Mobagal Ikado, who was a man who had escaped persecution in Africa, and he had like horrible like back scars on him. He was Horus in Stargate. You might know him from Gladiator. He was in the Lara Croft movie. He was on Alias. He was the voice of T'Challa in the Black Panther miniseries stop-motion animation comic book based on the Black Panther comic book. He's the voice of Drago in How to Train Your Dragon 2 and next year's How to Train Your Dragon 3, which is coming out.
Wow, nice.
And he's also played another comic book character. He was Korath, he was Korath in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was the guy who confronts Peter Quill in the very beginning of the movie, and he's like, Star-Lord, and he says, "Who?"
Oh, yeah. That's a good makeup job.
Yeah. Oh, and he was in a movie which I thought was highly underrated last year. He was Chief Mabanga in The Legend of Tarzan.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I actually liked The Legend of Tarzan. I didn't think that movie was boring at all. His next role, besides being Drago in How to Train Your Dragon 3, he'll be Sir Bedivere in King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, which comes out next month.
Nice.
So, he's got a long career. Oh, yeah, I've done that with a spider before.
It won't work.
I have never done that with a spider.
Spiders, they don't really take in a lot of oxygen.
Correct.
So he could survive very well in that glass for a long time. The smoke wouldn't really bother.
Yes, true. Oh, sorry, buddy. I touched my cat because I actually, every time I see a spider in my home, I have to kill it, which is unfortunate, or I try to trap it and let it go outside because cats are notorious to be chasing after spiders, but if they get bitten by one, they can develop a rash. Go away, woman. I don't need you. Oh, that's right. She's a cop. I forgot about that.
Yeah. No. She's totally a cop. Doesn't quite act like it most of the time, but she is.
And I don't know many cops that look like her. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You can arrest me anytime.
No.
Do you think all cops are into bondage because they have?
By Dr. Chris.
Do you think all cops are into bondage because they have handcuffs?
No, but most of the cops I've known are just assholes, so they got that going for them.
And there goes our entire police audience right there.
I can say not all cops. I do have a friend from high school that became a cop in San Diego.
There you go.
He's very nice, and he says that he convinces people to get into the handcuffs more than he has to force them to get into the handcuffs, and I really appreciate that. But there is a lot of bad cops.
Yes. Without getting into the political conversation about cops and what they've done last year.
Yeah, I live in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is known for corruption. Like, do a quick Google search on Philadelphia police corruption, and you will find masses of it. Here where I live, you do not talk to the cops.
I thought Philadelphia was a city of brotherly love.
No, it's the city of shove. City of brotherly shove, really.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm trying to change that with my parties.
Bringing kink love.
Bringing love. So, here in the movie, we've got Constantine and the cop lady.
The cop lady. Isabel's sister. We're so well prepared with this. The cop lady.
Okay, so
Angela, yes.
So this is like the demon wings outside. It's not really explained. Like, they say in this movie that only half demons and half angels can actually survive in this plane of existence. Demons can't come through the boundary, and angels cannot come through the other side.
By the way, someone... Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the only plane of existence that Angela could possibly see would be like a half demons or whatnot. But Constantine sees this flock of demons kind of going by the window, and then soon we're going to see a whole huge scene full of them. It's never really fully explained whether that's just a vision or they accidentally slipped into, a place where the veil is thin. The lights are going out, and this is a little bit similar to how time stops actually in Constantine the TV show when Manny shows up. So the angel shows up, time all stops, and so in this scene, basically all time or all life is stopping. The lights are going down. Everything is pretty much leaving the normal plane of existence, with some focus on the Mother Mary there. More Catholic symbolism. And according to the director, what Constantine pulls out of his jacket in this scene here, he lights it on fire. That rag that he's putting around his hand there is actually a portion of the Shroud of Moses, and he destroys it. A shame.
A lot of people will classify Keanu Reeves as being like a white American actor. In fact, he's kind of a lot of a mixed race. He was actually born in Lebanon.
Yeah.
And he is a native of Hawaii. And he does have some Japanese ancestry in him as well. Hence why his features look slightly not so American.
He does have a slightly exotic look to him, but that makes him, I think, a pliable actor if he were actually a good actor.
You know, again, I gotta give him credit for where credit's due in some roles, like John Wick and John Wick 2, I think are the best thing he's done since The Matrix.
Yeah, he has his high points and his low points.
He was in the Neon Demon, which I blinked and I almost completely missed him if you saw the Neon Demon.
Oh, I wanted to. It's on my to-do list.
Oh, you gotta watch it. I'm making a short film, which is kind of an homage to it. I love that gray cat, by the way. But if I didn't have a black cat, which sits right behind me right now while I'm doing this commentary, I would get a gray cat.
They're beautiful.
It's just Russian such a cute little, yeah. Oh, his little experiment with the tub of water and everything is fantastic.
Yeah. So he's saying that water kind of acts as a lubricant, if you will.
You said lubricant.
To get from one plane of existence to the other, and somehow cats are in both at the same time.
Yes, that's why cats have been known to be the protectors of the underworld, or guardians of the underworld.
Yep.
That was a great little thing in Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, when he's like, question, why doesn't he like cats? And he's like, cats are the guardians of the underworld.
Yeah.
Because he holds up a cat at the mummy, and the mummy freaks out and flies away.
Yeah.
It's one of the best scenes in that stupid movie. Which, by the way, I will watch that Brendan Fraser Mummy movie over that piece of shit coming out from Tom Cruise and Universal Studios any day of the week.
Any day.
Any day. And by the way, speaking, why are we talking about the Mummy? Because Rachel's in the Mummy too. And she plays like a half Egyptian, half British woman.
I actually like her in that role, too.
Oh, she is perfect in that role. It's too bad she backed out of making the third one, and we got stuck with Maria Bello, who was terrible at trying to be British and trying to be the same character.
Yeah.
Wow, that cat's got some fangs on it.
Okay, and in this scene, we do another one of those kind of time stop jump things where you're crossing over into another plane of existence, and time in the human world kind of pauses. Yeah, he looks into those cat eyes, and then suddenly time just stops, and then he's, in the underworld. He's in hell.
Yeah.
I do like the way that kind of time jump happens here,
Did you ever see Keanu's Knock Knock, where the two girls come to his house when his wife is away, and they seduce him into having sex with him, and then they just never leave afterwards?
No.
Oh yeah, it is incredibly disturbing movie. Nothing overtly violent happens, but it's like they literally honeypot him into having sex with them, like a threesome, repeatedly, and then they won't leave.
Yeah.
And he
Sexual squatters.
Yeah, they basically turn into squatters, and then they basically kidnap him in his own home.
I do love the way that they portrayed hell as this kind of dusty wasteland.
Yeah,
it really makes that, people in hell want a glass of ice water, phrase really meaningful.
This entire scene,
everything's kind of on fire.
This entire scene reminds me of the apocalyptic future that Sarah Connor sees in Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
That right there, with all of the bodies and people.
Yeah.
That could either be a really good time or a really bad time.
Is that a typical weekend for you?
I mean, it could be. My parties, at the Saints and Sinners Swingers Club, could go that way if everyone were really willing. There is an orgy room.
I will. I again gotta come out in August or whenever you get that one rescheduled.
Yeah, you should. Like I do my parties several times a year. Anywhere from 5 to 8 parties a year of various sorts. Some are at swingers clubs, so they're sex positive. You can do whatever the fuck you want. If you wanted to be naked in a pile of writhing bodies, like in that scene, you could. And others are just basic BDSM parties where nudity is allowed, but sexual contact is not. BDSM parties typically don't have a whole tremendous amount of sexual contact because that's really not the focus. But I enjoy throwing parties where if you wanted to do that, you could, and it would be allowed.
We just had our trailer shot there where he reaches out to catch Isabel's hospital wrist bracelet.
Hospital wristband, yeah.
Yeah. That's the trailer scene.
And it's the proof proof that he went to hell.
Basically, which is where she would be, in this world that God and hell and the devil exist, because if you die by suicide, it is a mortal sin, and you will go to hell.
Now, interesting fact, though, that is no longer true.
What do you mean?
In 1997, basically, it was... the rules were changed. So, by Vatican decree, people that commit suicide do not go to hell because mentally ill people are not entirely responsible for their actions.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so did they actually write that down in a way that actually got up to the big guy upstairs? Or I'm not trying to make fun of suicide, but seriously, if you believe in God and the devil and you're a Christian and Catholic or whatever, is that actually...
According to the beliefs of the Catholics, the decree that is done through the church, God must uphold. Okay. So, because the Pope is the mouthpiece for God, whatever the Pope and thusly all of the head cardinals, all that, what they decree must be true. So that's why unbaptized babies no longer stay in purgatory. They actually can go up to heaven now. And that was within the last couple decades, I think. So they decreed that mentally ill people cannot be responsible for
their actions,
for their behaviors.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Not to get onto a whole thing about Catholic beliefs and what they've done right and wrong and what they decree to be okay with the big guy upstairs or anything like that. That would be a whole other episode when we probably maybe do a commentary on the Passion of the Christ.
I need a lot of drink for that.
Oh my God.
Father Hennessy here is trying to get his drink on.
Yeah.
I actually have a wine cooler here. I'm going to drink every time he drinks.
Oh yeah, didn't we say we were going to do that on Constantine last week or 2 weeks ago when we recorded last? Yeah, we didn't do that.
I need to drink more.
Oh man, how much does that suck? You just can't get anything out of any bottle.
Yeah, I know, but I'm almost done with this wine cooler.
But isn't in reality though he actually drowning himself in alcohol?
Yeah. His name is Father Hennessy. And Hennessy is a booze. Just like that foreshadowing that's so obvious it's hitting you upside the head with it.
Uh-huh.
So Father Hennessy can't find a pen.
Who's the sexy tall drink of water that just walked in? That is Balthazar.
Balthazar, the half-demon.
That actor, Gavin... Is that Gavin Rossdale? Yes, that is Gavin Rossdale.
From the band Bush, right?
Yes, correct. The band Bush. Gavin Rossdale, who's appeared in many a things as, besides being in the band Bush, he's been
Partner
in
of
like
Gwen Stefani.
yes, former husband of Gwen Stefani. His IMDb credits of television shows, by the way, are very sporadic. He's a writer in a lot of things. He was the writer of the movie The Call. He's been a writer of Criminal Minds, Smallville, Harper's Island, Drive, the short-lived Nathan Fillion TV series.
Well, he does very well. I mean, I've enjoyed everything that I have seen him in or that he's been involved with.
His music is attached to some of the most atrocious movies of all time, such as Swim Fan, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, and that god-awful movie Stealth, which was about a artificial intelligence stealth bomber.
Oh, okay. Here we're getting basically
The
the picture of Constantine's background.
yeah. Oh yeah, that was really cool to see a very young John Constantine and explaining his latent, somewhat supernatural psychic abilities, which in the comic books and the TV series, a lot of that stuff is like he picked it up along the way, he learned it, so he knows tricks, he knows parlor tricks and spells and things like that.
Constantine in the show doesn't actually see these things.
No, he doesn't
he's
have...
not a seer. And in fact, like, there's a difference between having a talent for it, which in the comics and in the television show, he has the talent. And then in this movie, he has the gift.
Correct.
And completely different context for it. And I think that twists how it is. Like, if you're seeing people with wings and demon faces everywhere, yeah, sure, you're going to be locked up for a while. And, as he was just explaining. So it's a different vibe to how you learn your arcane knowledge.
Yeah. And he's got those tattoos on his arms, which you see throughout the movie, that allow him to do all sorts of, like, exorcisms and stuff. And then, of course, he's got that awesome, I don't think, I didn't, unless I blinked and I didn't see it. They haven't shown it yet, but he's got that awesome cross shotgun.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That thing is so awesome. It's one of the few things from this movie that actually kick ass.
It's cheesy as hell.
Definitely. Absolutely. What's funny is that, again, we seem to be on this DC comic book kick. The day that we're recording this, which is on a Monday, by the way, this is tax day. Hope you all did your tax return, because it was due. It's due in about 45 minutes to the IRS. The DC kick of things continues in my life, as tomorrow, Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, the animated movie, comes out on DVD and Blu-ray.
So the symbol Father Hennessy kind of carved into his own hand after taking off the protective amulet, which Constantine did in the very beginning of the movie, stupidly. Turned out he needed that thing.
Okay, the amulet, by the way, that the father has reminds me of the one on the Book of Shadows in the television series Charmed.
It's a very common symbol. I tried to quickly look it up as to the name of the symbol.
Yep.
But it's just one of those symbols that you can just pick one up at Hot Topic. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. All right, so now we're going to Beeman's place. And his place just kind of looks like I don't know where he actually lives, whether it's like a machinery place or
back alley of a bowling alley
house or something. But in order to store all of his collections of his bugs, and that's why he's called the Bee Man, is he's a collector of insects. He has them up in jars and just kind of attached to the ceiling. Kind of a cool place to store it if you didn't really need to pull them down too often.
Doesn't he look a lot like Woody Allen?
A little bit. I think that's the shape of the glasses.
His jawline,
eyebrow, and
yeah.
luckily he doesn't speak like Woody Allen. That would be really annoying in this film.
By the way, do you think Pepsi sponsored this movie? Because I've seen the Pepsi logo 3 times.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yes, I've seen the Pepsi logo at least 3 separate occasions. When John ran out into the street to fight the bug demon, there was a Pepsi machine behind him. When he was at the liquor store, there was a Pepsi machine. And at the restaurant, the behind the counter, it's Pepsi soda that the restaurant serves their customers.
Wow, could be.
Pepsi and Warner Brothers making Vertigo movies together.
Well,
hey,
Pepsi's got the money.
You know, they probably got more money than DC Comics, that's for sure.
Yeah. Alright, so we're now back at the hospital.
The hospital with the giant cross on the front of it, which I thought was a little, like, do Catholic hospitals like that really have that big of a freaking cross?
Some do. In fact, actually, some are built in the shape of a cross.
Oh,
so
my.
You can see that cross from the sky. Just one of those architectural designs that they like to do.
So, do you think those hospitals probably don't have an abortion clinic in it?
I knew an abortion joke was going to come up at some point. Yeah, there would not be any abortion clinics or family planning, sterilization, or any of that because it is a Catholic facility.
My grandmother gave me a cross, and I have it. I only wear it on special occasions.
You know, I haven't stepped foot in a church for anything other than a wedding or a funeral in, I don't know, probably a decade.
Did it hurt when you had to?
No, I didn't burn.
You put your hand on the door frame, and it's like, ah. Oh, there's a great. Okay, it's a terrible movie. Speaking of terrible movies, Vampire in Brooklyn, starring Eddie Murphy, directed by the late great Wes Craven. There's a scene where he transforms into the priest, and he says he steps inside and his hair starts catching on fire because he's a vampire still, and he's like, "God damn!" And everyone turns around and looks at him, and he's like, "God damn anyone who's gonna be inside on this lovely night. We should all be praying for God outside. Get your asses outside." And it's like, the only good part of that whole movie is that one scene where he's like, "God damn anybody who worships God on this glorious night. Get outside."
Yeah.
The only other good thing about that movie is Angela Bassett is in it, and she looks beautiful.
Okay, so here we're Beeman has a copy of Hell's Bible.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I do too. It's called the Necronomicon. It's right here next to me.
But it's not the Necronomicon. It's not the Necronomicon.
But
it
isn't that
is
Hell's
a regular Bible.
Oh.
But it has extra chapters. And it has extra perspective. So
Right.
this is where we actually get the plot of the film.
Gotcha.
What is actually going on? So, the devil's son, Mammon, has two...
Wait, what's the name of the devil's son again?
Mammon.
Mammon. Okay, so not to be confused with Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer, or as Kat Denning calls it, Mew Mew.
Or Mano, which was the god name that they used in the movie The Craft.
I thought the devil's son's name was Damien.
In the Omen films, it is.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That name is in The Craft.
Yeah.
Did you know there's a sequel to The Craft coming out? It was originally supposed to be a remake, and man, did the fans light that shit up. So they're like, no, it's going to be a sequel now.
I have heard that it was coming out, and I did hear that Fruza Bulk wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and she was, by the way, the witch consultant on the original.
Yep.
I mean, she had 2 jobs in the movie. Being the bad girl, which she loved playing, and being the witch consultant.
Well, because she does have...
She's a practicing witch!
Yeah, she has her talents, and and she has a store. She knows what she's actually doing.
Yeah. More power to her.
Yeah. I've actually met her and
Oh.
one of my nightclubs. So.
Oh my god, are you serious? Oh my god, I've been in...
I am entirely serious.
You are so more well connected than me sometimes. I mean, sometimes I get some cool guests, and sometimes I have been in love with her since that movie came out.
No, it's entirely serious. Los Angeles, at a club called Club Noir, and
of course,
danced with her on the dance floor.
Oh,
for, like a song. And, she was wearing this sexy little school outfit.
Oh,
because it was like schoolgirl.
You danced with her?
Huh?
You danced with her?
I danced with her. It was me, her, and another girl, and
I hate
danced
you
with her
so much.
for a little bit, and then she was kind of tapped on the shoulder and she walked off.
Now, what type of dancing was this?
Formally introduced.
Now, hold on. Let's not skip over these details. What type of dancing was it?
It was grind based.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we were never formally introduced. I was dancing with the other girl, and then she joined us.
Oh my god.
And she was just as hot, back then.
Oh my god.
I got stories for days, man.
For anyone who's listening to this commentary, you've been seeing this picture of John Constantine, but I might throw up a picture of what Mistrress Zeneca looks like, and I might throw a picture up of what the girl from The Craft looks like. And now just imagine the two of them dancing together. Now back to the movie.
It's hot. We've gotten totally off topic.
Oh my, yeah, well, I need to go take an insanely cold shower. I'll be right back. The movie will still be on when I get back.
Yeah, so the B-Man just died.
Okay, yeah, I
and of course, B-Man, having his name being B-Man, another one of those hit you over the head foreshadowings. So, very upset the B-Man died. He's kind of innocent in this whole thing. And really, there's no reason why he should have died in this film, because he doesn't really do anything. All he had was the Bible. Really? Yeah? Okay. Some of the props that he uses in this film are actually pretty, interesting too. Like I think later we see the brass knuckles, they have crosses on them.
Yeah, that's really cool. But the one thing I always thought was really strange, because I think they go to his apartment like 3 times in this film, is the jugs of water everywhere.
I think that's supposed to be holy water.
I got that. It's still a bit, it's still a little funny to see.
Yeah, but if you go through so much of it, like, he had those holy hand grenades, that he kind of crushed one on his chest to get out of hell. Because, of course, when you're in hell, the demons don't want you to leave, and he somehow managed to have everything on him as he moved into the other dimension. And crushed the holy water on him. So maybe the water is just, he has to have it around since he goes through so much.
It's just so weird to see that much bottled water everywhere.
Yeah. Or he could just not pay his water bill so often that he has to keep some extra because he's just forgetful.
You think he like boils water for like baths or something?
If it was the character John Constantine from the Hellblazer, I could give you a guess, but considering this is Keanu Reeves' John Constantine, I don't know. It could be really anything, man.
It's just too funny.
So now he's going to turn on her psychic powers, because she repressed her psychic abilities when she was younger.
Which unfortunately made her sister go batshit crazy.
Yeah. But it's even more crazy. Like, if someone doesn't verify what you're talking about and is just basically saying, no, you're crazy. It's a technique called gaslighting, where you're basically telling someone something that clearly is not true, but you're trying to convince them that it is. And so since both Angela and Isabel saw the apparitions and the half angel, half demons, they could see all of this. And Angela kept saying, "No, I don't see it. I don't see it." That was basically gaslighting her sister, and that will drive you crazy.
That's been used many a times when it comes to siblings. The TV series Sleepy Hollow, which is still on the air, despite the fact that it's so far removed from what the original premise of the show was about. There's two sisters on it, Abby and her older sister, and her older sister has been locked up in a insane asylum because Abby wouldn't believe what they saw. They saw the demon Malik, who's like the big bad of the show. When Ichabod Crane does his Captain America waking up in the present day from frozen hibernation sleep thing, she begins to believe, what her sister's been saying to be true all along. That got her locked up. That there's, supernatural, mystical forces amongst them. But that's like a constant kind of sibling trope in this genre of that we watch of horror, more not horror related, but let's face it, Constantine, Sleepy Hollow, that's more like supernatural, paranormal type stuff than horror.
Yeah, it's like paranormal fantasy, because none of that is really.
That's the best way to say it. Just like Star Wars is like soap, science, soap opera, space fantasy. This is like supernatural.
Supernatural fantasy.
Supernatural fantasy, yes.
All right, so time stop. Comes back, explode the tub, and suddenly
everyone's
she
wet.
Knows everything.
Everyone has a wet T-shirt contest.
Good thing she's wearing a black bra.
Right? Never mind the fact that John tries to kill her.
Well, yeah. At least it's not a suicide. And she's, of course, dazed and confused as to what's going on. Oh, and reference to Balthazar. The coins on the knuckles. I wonder what coin he's actually using on his knuckles. They're going to show it a little bit later, but I wonder if that's like a devilish coin or like a medieval coin. I don't think you get a real close look at it to tell.
Do you have a time count for our listeners, by the way, Mistrress Zeneca?
Mm-hmm. I have 1 hour, 6 minutes, 50 seconds.
Okay.
Alright. So we're back at the Beeman's place. And she's psychically determining a clue.
Probably
she does this pretty well.
It would probably come in handy for actually solving real crimes in the future.
Yeah.
Again, the thing with the coin, just like it screams too much of like Two-Face from Batman.
Yeah.
Nobody's allowed to do anything with coins in the DC universe because Two-Face already does it.
and an obvious CG coin right there.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Couldn't be bothered to actually learn how to flip a coin like that.
Yeah, no. It would take too much time.
Oh, here's your favorite prop.
The cross shotgun is freaking awesome.
And fun fact, Keanu Reeves actually bought that prop after the movie.
Yes,
and
yes.
Gave it to the director as a gift.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know this about Keanu Reeves, and I know he gets a lot of crap for just bad acting and other
Yeah.
things
He's a really
sometimes.
good guy,
Sometimes.
though.
A lot of people who put Keanu Reeves down need to go look at like the things that he does behind the scenes. One of the greatest stories was released either by him or his sister or something. It was right after the third Matrix movie came out, and he was sitting at a cafe, and he looked outside the cafe, and there was a young woman sitting on the step, and he didn't pay much attention to it until he looked again, like about a half an hour later, and she's still there. So he went out there to see who she was, and she tried to shoo him away, thinking he was a creeper, not realizing who he was. And he went back, just before he went back inside, he said, well, if you're cold and you want a cup of coffee, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. I'll be right in that cafe, miss. I don't want to hurt you. You look like you could use some help. About 10 minutes later, she came in and unwrapped her coat, and inside her coat is a baby that's probably only maybe about 3 weeks old. And she tells him that she ran away from home after her parents found out that she was pregnant. And she had the baby at a clinic, and she is so dehydrated and stuff, she doesn't have enough liquid to produce milk or anything inside her. And he walks over to the CVS with her with like $500 and buys her like as many diapers and baby formula as he can, and gives her the rest of the money, telling her to call home and buy a bus ticket and go home.
Yeah.
Years later, on the set of the first John Wick movie, he runs into her as a college student.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I think she was the one who exposed the story about what he did. But she was she was like in her this was, by the way, she was a teenage mom. She was like 14 or 15. So this was like 10 years later, and on the set of John Wick, and she's in college as an intern working on his movie.
Now, I've heard a lot of really good stories about him. Here's those golden brass knuckles.
Oh yeah, love those. I want those in a fight. If I come to Philadelphia, I might need them, according to you.
So Keanu Reeves, currently lives beneath his means. He's amassed a fortune from his acting career.
Especially the Matrix movies.
Yeah. He still rides public transportation.
Yep.
He's very approachable. Just an overall nice guy.
Yeah.
If he could play an acting role that's outside of his normal Keanu Reeves persona, then people wouldn't give him so much shit. But he's just a genuine guy.
Yeah. I mean, there's another actor with a lot more success than him who's the same way. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh.
Why do you think you don't see Leonardo DiCaprio in like tons of movies? Right? I mean, What was the last thing you saw him in? The movie he won the Academy Award for.
The Revenant.
Yeah.
I didn't personally see that one. The last one I saw him in was Django. Which is really good.
But Leonardo DiCaprio, he admitted like in an article years ago that he buys his jeans at like JCPenney's. He owns a Ford car. He owns one other piece of property besides his apartment, and that's it. He eats at McDonald's. He said he does regular grocery shopping. He doesn't take exotic vacation trips to Maui and stuff unless it's for a film.
Great guys.
Yeah, he a little bit more preachier than Keanu Reeves, as he's all into like save the world, save the planet.
Yeah.
I love the makeup on Gavin Rossdale. Speaking of Two-Face, get it? Cause
yeah, I know. I think that was done purposely.
Maybe as a nod because this is a DC comic movie. Yeah. But really cool makeup. I don't know if it's CGI or if it's actual prosthetic put on him, but it looks like from Keanu walking away, it looks like it's a prosthetic actually on his face.
I think some of it was prosthetic and some of it is CG because of how he moves his mouth. Some of that you really can't do with prosthetics.
Correct. Oh, that freaking gun is so goddamn awesome. And again, you said he bought that for the director as a gift?
Yeah, he bought it from the prop house and gave it to the director as a gift.
That is so cool. By the way, who directed this movie?
I just have it up here. Let's see here. Francis Lawrence.
Francis Lawrence. Okay, that Francis Lawrence. Trying to.
And a little note on those holy brass knuckles.
Yep.
That was the prop itself was meant to be golden brass knuckles that were blessed by a bishop during the Crusades. So they're supposed to be like hella old.
Now, do you know what Francis Lawrence is best known for directing?
No, tell us.
All the Hunger Game movies.
And that's why I'm not familiar with them. No.
I'm sorry. No, he directed Catching Fire and Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. Not all of them, but yeah. I mean, he's got some major street cred. He also directed I Am Legend, the Will Smith movie.
Okay, well, that's better.
I've
actually seen that one.
Oh, and he was a long time he's best known as being a music video director for Green Day, Shakira, Britney Spears, Aerosmith, Will Smith, Justin Timberlake, Avril Lavigne, Jennifer Lopez, the Black Eyed Peas. Constantine was his first movie.
Oh wow!
Yes, so his very first music video was with Jennifer Lopez.
That also explains why this movie is such a beautiful movie. Like, I'm watching it on my end on mute, and just from the pure visuals, it is stunning.
Yes, I have it almost on mute as well. The biggest project I think he's got coming up soon with a bunch of like stuff that's question marked is I heard his name being attached to the Joss Whedon another remake of Battlestar Galactica, which is like, why do we need to redo Battlestar Galactica again? The last TV series was amazing. It wasn't like you tried and failed.
Oh, here we go. The breaking up the bar scene.
Yes, John's like romp through the bar like is such a badass moment in confronting Papa Midnight again.
No one in the bar.
Yeah. So they're not running like crazy like the Terminator who walked through the bar trying to find Sarah Connor.
Okay, and here he's confronting Papa Midnight, and Papa Midnight has like these powers that has never been attributed to Papa Midnight at all. Like, he does not have the power of a force push.
A force push?
That's what it is. That's completely what it is. It is a force push. And then he's shoving his hands into Keanu Reeves, and that's a little bit reminiscent of the healers that tend to do that when they pull out the disease from your body.
Yeah.
And he's doing it to kind of inflict pain, and afterwards he'll have like the fingerprints of Papa Midnight on him. But Papa Midnight has never had actual telekinetic powers. That's not what he does. He's a voodoo practitioner priest. So that's just movie magic. My favorite saying for this movie is that this movie is what a movie executive thinks the occult is actually like.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And by the way, that statement could be said for anything when it's made by executives who do not get what things are about. Like, for instance, how many times has magic been screwed up in Hollywood?
Oh, lots of times. I mean, not even... Like, I know when you show something on television, you have to show it in a more, like, tangible way than how it's really done in reality. But you should still get the mechanics right.
Yeah.
And so this scene with, old Sparky here, I do have a couple good points about this scene. Papa Midnight, since he's a voodoo practitioner, there are several things that are done right. When he swigs from the drink, which is coming up here shortly, he takes a swig from the drink and blows it out 3 times. That's a legit practice. That is something that you do in voodoo. And that That's legit. I do like that.
Would you say it's that voodoo you do so well? Oh.
The voodoo that Papa Midnight, voodoo that he do so well. Yes.
Wah, wah.
Oh, and then for some reason, having 200 souls within this chair gives this chair the power to see the past and see the intentions, I guess. I don't know how that would be, but we'll just suspend disbelief here, and we're going to go with it. So, I think at this point in the film, if this Constantine were really self-aware, he would have just realized that he created a scene, that he created a piece of the storyline that they could not have done without him. So,
correct.
Let me illustrate a little bit more carefully here. Angela didn't have psychic powers. She had repressed it so much that she could not pull them up. Her sister could, and her sister was kind of groomed for the role that she will eventually be in the near future here in this movie. But without Constantine restarting Angela's psychic powers, there could not have been a vessel for Mammon to inhabit. There were specific criteria that the B-Man read that he needed in order to break through. And without Constantine, they couldn't have done it. So he inadvertently helped them in their goal. And he should have, as a self-aware character, realized that as soon as he saw what he saw in Old Sparky. But of course he doesn't. Instead we have Chaz kind of doing a little bit of explaining here about how he can beat a room full of demons with his help.
Yeah. Chaz, you just need to hurry up and die.
Papa Midnight, though, is really good. He is amused by the kid. Yeah. Blessing over Chaz. That's legit. Completely legit. And then Constantine, even though Constantine knows for a fact that God exists, walks away from the blessing. And Papa Midnight has a lot of power, because in this film it is said that Papa Midnight is kind of a retired badass. He can beat 30 demons by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Constantine just walks away, not grateful and thankful for Papa Midnight's help in any way. The character of Papa Midnight is kind of an ally, kind of an adversary. It switches based on the task at hand and the motivations at hand. But granting a blessing, that's pretty cool of him to do. And, not appreciated. Not appreciated at all. So, Angela just recreated the exact scene that Isabel went through, but didn't die because, there was no ceiling there, and since she was pulled by some unknown force, they need her alive, so of course they're not going to make her die when she hits that water at, 20 miles per hour?
Roughly.
Yeah. Now, a little note. Chaz has all those occult books all over the dashboard of his car. And we see them up close in the very beginning of the film, but they are still there as he's driving around. I actually own most of those.
The exact copies?
Well, not those exact copies, but yes, the books, yes.
Most of my occult books, if you want to call it my New Age section, which is actually stares directly at my little cubicle I made up for myself to my desk or whatever, are mostly history of modern real life folklore about vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the one copy of the Necronomicon, and around, and then of course dangling from the shelves are like the cross that my grandmother gave me, and the Star of David, and a pentagram.
I should take a picture of my occult shelves of
Yes.
books and then post it to our the Dead TV podcast.
Absolutely, yes. And if you find any pictures of you dancing with the girl from The Craft, post those too.
I do not think there are any pictures because the club was so dark, and this was the time before everyone had a cell phone.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
The time before everybody was before everyone was an Ansel Adams.
Yeah, this was like early 2000s, you know.
Oh, back during the time when you were the model for the video game company.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. Yeah, for when I was a spokesmodel for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines video game.
Before you were a mom.
Yes. Yeah, life goes on. A lot of good times.
So you went from supermodel to super MILF?
I would never say I was a supermodel. I was a fetish model, and I did a little bit of local runway stuff, some video work. I was in a Marilyn Manson video.
Oh my God! You were in a Marilyn Manson video?
Not as a featured player.
Oh.
But yes, I am in it. Yeah.
What song?
I've done a lot of shit, man.
What song?
You know? What was it? It's give me a sec.
So the holy water basically eliminates these demons. This is a cute trick that has been done in like vampires and other demon type movies before, where they basically baptize the sprinkler system to wipe out a big threat.
Yeah.
Use modern technology to your advantage, people. It will save you in the long run from demonic possession. So I got a question. Do you think, let me ask you this, Mistrress Zeneca, as you'd be the perfect person to ask this considering what you do and what you're into. If I were to drink holy water for an entire day, and I went and decided I wanted to get rid of a demon, let's say my demonic girlfriend, and I fucked her, would my sperm kill her because it's now basically made up of holy water, because your sperm is basically made up of everything you've been drinking through the day?
No. It
Damn.
would not work that way because part of what makes it holy is the blessing, and then part of it is the essential oils that is also mixed into it.
Oh, but you have to admit, though, without thinking too clearly into it, that would make an excellent fucking horror movie.
Yes.
Where a demonic exorcist has to fuck demons, and he comes inside them to kill them.
Oh, yeah. That would actually be pretty interesting. And that would really be a little bit closer to Constantine's role in the comic books. Because he kind of does that to Zed.
But admit it, that would be a horror movie you would totally watch.
I would totally watch that. Totally, I would watch that.
It's just this actor's excuse to fuck as many girls on camera as he possibly can, or pretend to be, like, at least naked in bed with them for these made-up sex scenes.
Oh my god. Especially if it's shot right, so it's really like super sexy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, wasn't that guy he just picked up the person from the very beginning of the movie?
The guy he picked up?
The guy that was in the water was the traveler.
Yeah, the former holder of the Spear of Destiny.
Correct.
I think that's the scene that is supposed to relay all this together.
Correct.
Oh, and I do remember the video is Disposable Teens.
Disposable Teens.
Disposable Teens. I am in that.
You are in that. Okay, we will have to post that, and I will have to tweet out to Marilyn Manson that you're.
Oh no! Don't tweet out to him because I was not a featured player.
He might remember you. Maybe he's got a very good memory. Again, what is with Rachel getting into the wet t-shirt contest in this movie every 5 minutes? That's not Rachel anymore, is it? Is that like a stunt double or something?
Could have been her.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Scream. Oh, she's divinely or devilishly pregnant.
By the way, one of the best devil-related movies I could highly recommend, you can find on Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's about a guy who goes on a country road trip and encounters a girl by the lake and proceeds to fall in love with her and finds out that her parents worship the devil.
Satan.
Yes! Yes!
Touch of Satan. That's a great one.
Yes, and it's on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
And the way they do it is awesome, too.
Yes!
I love that one.
That is a great satanic movie, especially this one. Oh my god! That is the worst kind of baby.
Shia LaBeouf just playing exorcist here.
Okay, she's kind of freaking out, but she doesn't really look like she's in pain, so...
No. I think it was the direction as to what you're supposed to be going through, and then they changed the CG later so that it doesn't really match the expressions too much.
Correct, or the other explanation is this is before Rachel's had Daniel Craig's babies, and she has never experienced childbirth enough before to really understand the pain that she should be expressing as an actress correctly.
That could be possible too.
Yes, so she wasn't shooting out the little 007s yet, and I've heard from plenty of female actresses that if you have never experienced childbirth, your acting is going to suffer tremendously from it if you are in a childbirth scene or like a demonic possession scene where you have to like expedite like a demon from you. Because the pain and the look and the anguish that you're feeling should be basically the same.
Yeah.
As someone who's had babies, you can probably attest to this.
I can.
Yes.
I can. Yeah, I've not had the long labors that other women have, but yeah.
Um,
it is a panting, mind-numbing pain.
Yay! Shia LaBeouf's gonna die! I'm sorry, but that actor has fallen so far from grace, in my opinion.
He has gotten more on the artistic side lately. But a little note on the way Catholicism and exorcisms go is that if you're not a priest, doing an exorcism doesn't really work.
Well, hold on a second. Ed Warren of Ed and Lorraine Warren, like the couple as seen in The Conjuring, was the only civilian to be ordained by the Catholic Church as an exorcist. He's the only non-priest civilian to get the title of exorcism by the actual Catholic Church. So does that mean that he does have the power because he saved all those people's lives if their stories are as true as, we are led to believe they are?
Well, ordaining is kind of making someone a priest, right?
Correct. I am ordained by the enter button on my keyboard on my computer.
So if you're ordained, then, you're a priest. So then it would be considered okay.
Yes, I am a registered minister with the United Church of Life.
Excellent.
I have the power of God on my side.
Well, Constantine tries to bring back Shia LaBeouf's life with those tattoos on his arms.
Yeah, fails
and
miserably.
Those tattoos are actually the alchemical symbol of the Red King, which is worn by him in the film for protection. It is the fire triangle, symbol of fire, with 3 radiating arrows out, which means perfect Red King or the sulfur of philosophers.
Gotcha.
And when he puts them together, it's supposed to call heaven down in order to save his life, and instead it called Gabriel. And I have to say, this costume that Gabriel has on is fan-fucking-tastic. I love this costume design, even so much as the hospital bands on her wrists. Just fantastic. These chap type pants and the laces and kind of the wife beater-ish top. Love it. I don't know why the hospital wristbands are there, but I do enjoy that bit of costume.
As a mother, I highly recommend Tilda Swinton's movie We Have to Talk About Kevin.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I've been wanting to see that.
That is amazing, and every parent needs to watch that movie.
Yeah, with the is he twisted or actually like just a sociopath?
I think he's got like severe mental health problems, and it's based on a true story. And a lot of parents have been recommended to watch it because of like how badly their kid can snap.
Yeah.
It's quite the movie to behold. Her best performance, in my opinion, is I almost said What We Do in the Shadows, but no, that's the vampire movie. Is the other vampire movie that she did with Loki, Tom Hiddleston, Only Lovers Left Alive. Have you ever seen it?
No, I have not.
Oh my god, it is an amazing vampire movie. Oh, and unfortunately, so the two main actors in it are Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston. The two secondary actors in it have both died. Anton Yelchin and John Hurt.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's extremely sad that the two secondary actors in that movie, Anton Yelchin plays like the kind of sidekick, best bud to Tom Hiddleston's character. He's his go-getter. You know, he doesn't know he's a vampire. He just kind of sends him out on errands to get stuff for him that he can't do during the day, as well as the fact that he's a recluse rock musician trying to keep his identity secret from the public, so nobody knows that he's the person behind all this amazing music except for Anton Yelchin's character. And John Hurt plays the only other vampire alive in the movie.
Interesting.
Yes, an amazing, amazing foreign vampire movie. A bit pacey at times, but one of Tilda Swinton's best roles ever, in my opinion.
Okay, so John Constantine just slit his wrists, and Tilda is about to, strike the spear into Angela's abdomen to free the devil's son, Mammon, and rain hell on earth. Now, again, from the comic books to this, totally not the situation as for like why the devil took out John's lung cancer. Yeah, totally different, because the Spear of Destiny was basically the stick that poked Jesus. But Jesus was already dead. It didn't kill him. It has no magical powers.
No, Jesus was still alive when the soldier pierced his side.
No, he was not.
Are you sure?
I am quite sure.
Oh. Do you have
I actually looked up the
I was
Bible
gonna say,
verse, but I don't have it right.
I was going to say, do you have the Bible in front of you?
I can quickly Google that.
Oh, you have the Internet Bible.
I have the Internet.
You're probably right. I'm not gonna fight you on it. I thought.
Gospel of John, 1931 to 37. Yes. Look it up.
Oh,
nerd.
By the way, that's not a spear anymore. That's like a knife.
Yeah. It's the spear tip.
It's
basically.
the tip. She's just giving her just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip.
Do you want to play a game called Just the Tip? No, don't go any further.
I do like how they portrayed Lucifer, though. This is kind of, it's totally different than the comics or really representations. But I like the slime, the oil coming off of his feet, and the tattoos on him. I do like the way the actor portrayed him and the mannerisms. Just great.
Yeah. My favorite interpretation of Lucifer right now, still to this day, has to be from the television series Supernatural, as played by Mark Pellegrino, who played Jacob on Lost. But this actor is extremely well-known. He is a long-time well-known character actor.
Yeah.
He was in the movie Clown, if you saw that, about the guy who gets the clown costume and can't get it off and finds out that it's actually the skin of a demon. Peter Stormare, who I loved in a video game I played. He was also in The Big Lebowski, which is probably the big role that he's known for.
Fargo.
He's in John Wick 2. He plays Mr. Freeze currently on Justice League Action. He's in The Nut Job 2.
Yeah.
He was Lord Dreg in recently in the last season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Longtime turtle villain, very cool. He was Count Vertigo on Arrow, another Constantine connection. Yeah, the guy has played quite a number of different comic book characters. Oh yeah, he was the voice of Dr. Hill in the video game Until Dawn, one of the best horror survival games ever made. He was in the Destiny video game. He was in the Elder Scrolls video game. I mean, his career goes on and on. He's been on the Blacklist for 8 episodes. He's been in Hansel and Gretel. He was in, by the way, there's a documentary coming out soon about Heath Ledger. It's a bunch of videos, home videos from Heath Ledger's family, compiled into a documentary. He was in a movie with Heath Ledger and Matt Damon called The Brothers Grimm. Yes, I love this actor. Every time he appears in something, he always brings his aim game. His IMDb credits just go on and on and on and on. His portrayal of Lucifer is okay.
I like it. And the theory as to why he's like dripping oil or whatnot is that Lucifer, in order to touch Earth, must pollute the ground.
Correct.
So.
Because he's a fallen angel.
Yeah.
He's still an angel. A lot of people don't forget. Lucifer is an angel. He is not a demon.
So I do love the old names.
Now, he's called Lucifer Morningstar is his last name. Why are Christian bookstores called the Morning Star?
That's a good question.
Do you have any of those in Pennsylvania?
No, well, not in Philly for sure.
But yeah, in Massachusetts we have a string of bookstores, Christian bookstores, called the Morning Star. And I went into one of them one time, and the person at the counter probably doesn't read the Bible that often because they couldn't answer my question when I asked them that same thing. Why is it called the Morning Star when the Morning Star is Lucifer's last name? And they said, "Where did you hear that?" I was like every version of text about Lucifer ever imagined. They're like, "I don't think that's really in the Bible, though." Okay, then where does it come from? if this much fiction uses it.
Well, I'd have to do a little bit of research offline to pull up exactly what passages make reference to it, because there are a lot of name changings that go on, and as I said in yesterday's podcast, that the terms like Satan and devil and other things there is some theological debate as for whether that is referring to an aspect of a person, not or a being, not a specific being. So, in order to answer your question, I'd have to actually do a little bit more research to find out where Lucifer Morningstar is really listed in the Bible.
In the TV series Lucifer, based on the Vertigo comic book, that's his last name as well, Lucifer Morningstar. Mm-hmm. There are paintings of the Morningstar being cast down to hell by God, yes. by Michael, his brother. Mm-hmm. The 4 archangels: Michael, David, Gabriel, and Lucifer.
And the amount of blood that's actually on the
Raphael.
ground there,
isn't there Raphael?
Totally not enough.
Yeah, wait. I think I messed that up. Isn't there 4 or 5 archangels? Because there's Raphael, right? Isn't he an archangel?
Well, there's several choirs of angels.
Yes.
There are archangels, but I think there's more than 4. I know there's 4 that we call in the direction sometimes with some spells.
I love Kevin Smith's Dogma when Alan Rickman shows up and he goes, "I am the Metatron, the highest choir of angels. If it's not made into a movie, it's not worth knowing about it, is it?"
Yeah, and there's a lot of problems with the theology in that movie.
Yeah, but that's the movie's a comedy.
But it's a Kevin Smith movie, and it's really not meant to be taken seriously. So
no, and Kevin Smith was brought up Catholic too, so he did that on purpose.
Yeah. Okay, so
again, that blood just does not look real.
It does not look real, and it's not enough. And
yeah, you slit your wrists. There's a lot more blood.
There's a lot, a lot more blood. But in order to go to heaven, like, the only path that he has is he had to make that sacrifice. So he wanted Isabel's soul taken from hell to allow to be moved on.
And he's not moving.
Huh?
I said, and he's not moving.
Yeah. And then you will live.
Now, I wonder what's actually keeping Keanu Reeves down. I know there's a lot of CGI around them, or at least on the floor, maybe.
On the floor?
But what is keeping Keanu Reeves anchored down that Peter cannot drag him?
It was probably something having to do with the floor, like maybe a rope or something attached to him on, like, his belt or something, that he can't go past a certain point.
Yeah, like a weight, maybe?
Probably something super simple, and then they put the CG around it.
Yeah, I just wonder how many takes they had to do of him dragging him across the floor.
Yeah.
His arm, he's got that middle finger thing again. His arm is Now, that's not a thing John Constantine does in the comic books. He doesn't give characters the middle finger like that.
Oh, totally he does. What are you talking about?
But not
that's his favorite thing to do.
Yeah, but they overuse it in the movie though. It's not this it's not his trademark signature move, to tell people to fuck off.
He flips off the devil at every time that he bests him, except for one because he forgot, and he even mentions it. It's like, oh, I forgot to flip him off. But yeah, no, he totally does that.
That is so gross. But if that was so... It's so disgusting how he takes the cancer out, but you gotta think about the millions of people who have lung cancer, that if it was just that easy.
Yeah.
That is just so gross, though.
and it's all oily. Like, you took it out, it's like oily. It should be all bloody, really black and bloody.
Yeah. My mom asked to see her tumor when they removed it. Because she had breast cancer surgery a week ago, and when I was driving her home, she's like, "Oh, and I asked him if I could see the tumor." I was like, "Did you want to keep it like a pet rock?" Oh, what's that on the mantle? Oh, that's the tumor that almost killed me, but I captured it.
I rule over my tumor.
Basically, I actually thought about that afterwards and go, you know what? If I ever got a tumor and I lived through the experience of having it removed and everything else, I would keep that shit and put it on a mantle and be like, fuck you, I beat you. Little tumor's trying to get out of its case. Let me out! Let me infect something!
So, Tilda here lost her wings, and it's implied that she's now human because, she will be able to feel pain and all of that.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. You don't lose your wings and become human. You're still an angel, you're just wingless.
Yeah, by the way, we had pointed out how Keanu Reeves does not look anything like John Constantine. We never mentioned the fact that he's not even wearing the right colored jacket.
No, he not even the costume they got right. Like, he's supposed to be wearing a kind of brown khaki trench coat. Yeah,
and a blue or red tie. The comics, it's always changed. It's either blue or red, but it's never black. And it's never black most of the time. But the coat is always a tan trench coat.
Yeah. This is not a John Constantine. That's the John Constantine that we know and love. No. This is just a watered down...
This is Hollywood not reading the comic books before making the movie.
I don't think anyone read the comic books.
No, this isn't like, like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 coming out soon. They are drastically changing the origin story of Peter Quill. Mainly because the story of Peter Quill in the comic books is kind of unknown. I mean, he's become a very popular character, but it's not like Spider-Man's backstory where it's so cemented in everyone's mind, you cannot mess with it. Peter Quill's backstory is easily changeable. the bases are still there that he's like half human, half alien, and his mom died of cancer, and he was abducted as a child to be brought into outer space. But the story behind who his father is being drastically changed in the upcoming sequel coming out next month compared to what it is in the comic books. But nobody really cares, you know what I mean? Because it's not.
Yeah.
He's not Superman. He's not like, you keep the fucking origin of Superman the same. You keep the origin of Batman the same. And you change it even a little bit, people will go nuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But you change it with, like, Peter Quill, and everyone's like, oh, okay, that's fine. Wait, who's his dad in the comics? Who the fuck is that? Nobody. An absolute nobody character. It's cooler that they're making his dad this guy, played by Kurt Russell, coming up. So his dad's going to be played by Kurt Russell.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, off topic, but same thing with John's kind of backstory. His kind of origin story isn't, like, as epic as shot dead parents in an alley, or let a guy go, later on killed your uncle.
No, it's like he was,
just self-trained in magic and exorcism stuff. That's it. That's the origin story.
His mother died giving birth to him.
Yeah.
Father blamed him for it, but they had kind of an estranged relationship. I think in the comic books, like, a serial killer actually kills his father.
Oh, okay.
In the Family Man arc, or if you get the trade paperback, it's the Family Man. The serial killer, which is an older guy, actually ends up killing his father, and he has kind of sadness, but also ambiguity because he wasn't a good father.
Gotcha.
He tried at points. I think the television show makes it out to be a little bit more dramatic.
Yep.
But he has a sister, but it's not really brought up in this movie for sure. If we're staying until the end of the credits, there is a little scene with Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
That's what an old friend of mine used to call him, Shia LaBeouf.
So this, like, I've always stopped the film right when the credits came on. So I've never seen the final scene until, like, a couple of days ago when I read online that there was an end credit scene. And after seeing the end credit scene, I have to say I am more disappointed in it than I should be.
Also, he's popping nicotine gum instead of smoking cigarettes now.
Yeah, and that is not a John Constantine thing. John Constantine would light up a cigarette, and did, after he had his lung cancer removed. It's like, lesson not learned. Because, he still knows that he's screwed anyway.
Now, how did Hellblazer, the comic book, end before it was he was brought over into the New 52?
I haven't read that far.
Okay.
I've gotten up to, like, issue 100 or something like that.
Now, because they definitely gave Hellblazer, which was Vertigo's longest running title, a definitive ending before the miniseries Justice League: The Search for Swamp Thing. The cover has Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman standing behind John Constantine as he's lighting up a cigarette on the cover of the comic book. And this was after John. This was John's, like, first appearance in the regular DC universe after the events of Brightest Day, where Swamp Thing was brought back, and his whole origin story was kind of retconned out back to the way it was supposed to be, where he is Alec Holland, and then the New 52 happened. Flashpoint happened, and then the New 52. But before that, Hellblazer was officially canceled. After 250 issues or something like that.
Some, like, crazy amount. It was such, like, a popular comic, but it wasn't popular as in wide popular, but it had depth. Like, the fans of Constantine, Hellblazer, were fans.
Yes.
And they would buy every episode. So they had a very deep following. It didn't really grow very wide for a long time.
Yeah.
It was enough to keep the comic book going, for sure, but not super popular.
Correct.
It was never a Batman,
No, and the only other, like, long-running books or whatever did not hit 100 issues, but they didn't need to either. I mean, they ended Preacher after 67 issues, and they ended it on their terms. They were like, this doesn't need to go on for like another 7 issues just to hit issue 70 or 75. We're done with our story. Then they made a terrible Preacher TV series, which is just, I'm not even going to go there. And no, we will never cover it on the Dead TV podcast because I just find it so atrocious. I hope it gets canceled. That ran for like 67 issues. Sandman ran for 75 issues. Why the Last Man ran for 60 issues. Swamp Thing ran for like 190 issues, but was not a Vertigo comic book to begin with. It was a regular DC comic book, and then the Vertigo title was invented.
Yeah.
Makeup and special effects were made by Stan Winston Studio. This, Constantine, a couple films after Constantine, and Iron Man, the Iron Man actual suit was the last thing Stan Winston worked on before he passed away.
Aww.
The man who gave us, the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Jurassic Park, the Queen in the Aliens movie, and so many more other, great practical effects in horror, science fiction, fantasy films. But he worked on this movie and a couple, one or two other superhero movies. But the Iron Man armor in the first Iron Man movie was the last thing he worked on.
All right, so we're gonna get to the end scene here.
Yes. This is how these commentaries work. We must stay through the credits. None of these people I recognize whatsoever. None of these names do I know at all. Amy Hollywood.
The end scene, I will say why I'm disappointed with it in a second here.
Oh, no, you can say it's stupid. I mean, that character that wasn't Chaz at all.
It wasn't Chaz, but what disappointed me is, for one, angels are a separate and distinct species from humans. You cannot die and become an angel. You cannot break off your wings and become human. You are a distinct, separate species. So Chaz could not have just become an angel, or a half-angel, or whatever it is. Second, very disappointing, is that Tilda's costuming, Shia is wearing. So it's not a special, unique costume for Gabriel. Instead, it's the angel uniform. That, I think, is freaking lame.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. As I said, more disappointed by that ending, that end little scene there after the credits, than I should be, because I really like Gabriel's costume. I really like Gabriel's costume. And then to put it on Shia? Come on, please. That's an insult.
Other films that our favorite actor, Peter... Oh, here it is. Is that his lighter? Yeah. I want that lighter.
Yeah, I haven't figured out what that symbol is on it. There's not really a clear picture, and it doesn't have much depth.
There must be like a Constantine prop list online somewhere.
Maybe. For the movie, it's not as important to me as figuring out all the props in the television show. The television show, I think, has a lot more thought behind it than this thing did.
I do not... I don't even get the point of, why did we have to bring Chaz back to life as an angel? What purpose does that serve?
All he did was, one exorcism not to completion.
Yeah, it just...
That's it.
It was just lame.
He's not a saintly person.
No. Well, there was the commentary for the 2005 Keanu Reeves Constantine movie, based on the Hellblazer comic book, but not in any way, shape, or form really based on it. In name only. We could say that. It's in name only that it's based on Hellblazer.
In name only.
Yes, as previously mentioned, the only reason why it's called Hellblazer is because they didn't want the audiences to be confused with Hellraiser, because people are stupid, Mistrress Zeneca. Don't you know that?
Yeah.
Yes.
But this film again, Roger Ebert rated it 1.5 stars, and on Rotten Tomatoes, it's currently 46%.
Oh wow! It's actually doing better than Batman versus Superman.
Well, I mean, that was a piece of shit. Yeah.
The only good thing about Batman versus Superman is coming out this summer. Wonder Woman.
Now that I am looking forward to seeing.
Let's hope they don't fuck it up.
Let's hope.
You have one chance, DC. You have the only Wonder Woman movie you have ever made for the big screen. Don't fuck it up. The trailers already look promising.
Yep.
Okay, let's just leave it at that. Thank you, Mistrress Zeneca, for joining me for this episode of Film Dungeon Commentary.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. This was fun.
And you can find us both on the Dead TV podcast every other week. Look for our new episode sometime this week as well, as we continue covering Constantine, the NBC canceled TV series.